And good morning to you. Interesting. I just added something to the blurb, with a minute to go or so. And the title for today follows up actually on yesterday's video. Today's title is 2012 Discerning the Heart or Spirit. As the awakening continues to sweep the world, touching people on every continent, in every culture, there are obvious distinctions to be made. Of course, most people only feel the tension of the new energy. However, there are those that wish to maintain the old energy of ignorance rather than accepting the new energy of enlightenment. It is important to be able to discern the difference, to weigh the heart, so to speak. The head says, in order to be secure, I must guard against change. The heart says, in order to be free, I must let go of that which does not work. The tension between the old and the new, the head and the heart. That's what I hope to explore with you today as we talk about discernment. And discernment is perhaps a milder word than judgment, but in fact, it is a form of judgment. When Jesus talked to the religious leaders in his day about not judging, basically they said to him, but you're judging us. And he says, yes, I guess I am, but my judgment is pure. And everybody wants to think that their judgment is the pure judgment. And discernment of the Spirit is one of the gifts of the Holy Spirit as taught in the New Testament, in 1 Corinthians, when it talks about the gifts of the Spirit. Discernment of Spirit is one of them, and perhaps it's the most important one. Because as we look back at history, anytime there's been a new dispensation or a new age that comes into being, there is always resistance from the religious, especially the religious and the political factions of the old world order. Now, it's ironic that the old world order, in the form of George Bush in 1991, I believe it was, gets on national television and makes international news, saying that they're working toward a new world order. Well, that's part of the dialect, the Hegelian dialect of say the opposite of what the truth is. Really what they were trying to do was strengthen the old world order. And they were calling it a new world order because a new world order is coming, folks. There has to be a new world order because as we look back at our history, and we don't even have to look back very far, just the history of the 20th century, it goes before that. But if you just look at the history of the previous century, you have to understand that the old world order, the old paradigm, if you will, doesn't work. It produces polarization, it produces conflict, and what would we have? 2 world wars, and they're trying to create a third one here in the 21st century. It's not going to happen, but they're still trying because the old world order requires conflict. It requires confusion. It requires that there be a tension and not a peace. Requires that. And we're in the interim stage between the old world order and the new world order. And again, I'm using the new world order in a positive sense, not the negative sense that George Bush seemed to have meant it, and others that spoke of the new world order, and the new world order is the boogeyman. It's the boogeyman of the priesthood too, because they see the new world order that George Bush talked about as trying to create enlightenment. I'm talking about the priesthood now. I'm talking about the churches and the religions of our world that are trying to hold on to the old way of understanding religion. Now let me ask you something. Has religion produced peace? I mean, Islam means peace, among other things, I'm sure, but it means peace. Christianity claims to be honoring the Prince of Peace, the Christ, the Messiah. Have either of those religions produced peace? Has Judaism or Hinduism produced peace? Has Buddhism produced peace? Has any religion ever brought peace to the planet? I think not. Now, if you can show me, honestly show me, where it has brought peace, then I'd like to explore that. But I'm sorry that I'm unable to see that in what I understand of history. All that I see in history is conflict. And I trace that to the individual consciousness as well as the collective consciousness of humanity. I realize in my own being that I was raised not to look for peace, not to look for Christ in people, but to look for the devil, to look at the negative. Always look at the negative and fight the negative. Always. I can remember when my mom said to me, and I've said this in other videos, Ronnie, I wish you'd get back to God. And I said, but Mom, I never left God. And she said, but you believe such god-awful things. And I said, yeah, like I see Christ in everyone, and it has nothing to do with their religion. It has to do with who God is and how God created everything. How the Creator made all that's made, and nothing was made but through God, through the Word, if you will, the living Word. Without Him, nothing was made that is made. And so many Christians that were raised as I was, they don't see Christ in the world. They're not promoting Christ. They're promoting war against the devil, as they perceive everything to be satanic or Luciferian or evil. Everything is against them, and nothing is for them. And this is the mindset that's working in our world today, and it's being like everything else. The hidden meanings are coming to the surface. The reality of how those thoughts produce things and create the world that we've been living in, that's all coming to the surface so that we can look at it and we can exercise discernment of spirit. We can exercise our rational minds, if you will, and critical thinking, and say, but wait a minute, this whole thing of polarization, this whole thing of creating separation and having the different polarities war with each other and always fighting and dueling, that's the duality. The dueling is the duality. Instead of dancing, let the masculine dance with the feminine. Let the light dance with the darkness and produce a panorama of shadows and lights and beauty. I mean, a panorama of beauty based on the distinctions and the contrast, so that we can see things and bring things into focus. This is what's happening in 2012 more than ever before. I mean, we are faced with these paradigms of the trying to hold on to the status quo and keep our religions and keep our politics and our financial system the way it's always been, because it's worked for certain people, because certain people have liked to be in control and to tell other people what they can and can't do, and what they can and can't be even. It's been a system of slavery for those that have chosen to be the slave masters. And they don't care about the ones that they've enslaved. But the New World Order, and let me tell you something, The old world order is like an anchor that pulls us down and holds us into our ignorance, really. It's really ignorance, because we're ignoring the effect of our belief system, of our thought patterns. We're ignoring those effects. And it's like an anchor that keeps us locked in to destruction, that keeps us locked into evil, to living backwards, to getting it wrong. It locks us into that. But there's like a new energy. It's the energy of the future, the real new world order, if you will. And it's pulling us forward. It's trying to lift us out of the quicksand of the old way of thinking. And so we need to look at people, not to separate ourselves and to fight with them, but to understand the battle that's going on inside of humanity and inside of individuals within humanity. It's a battle between the old and the new. It's a battle between the light and the dark. And it doesn't win, nothing wins, no one wins if each destroys the other. Do you understand that destruction is the way we've always done it? Separation is not the way that we produce unity. We produce unity by recognizing each within the other. That's what namaste means. It's not just the light in me recognizes and honors the light in you. It's the dark in me recognizes and honors the dark in you and its contribution to being, its contribution to creation. It's all about honoring, not about warring. It's not about finding the devil behind every bush. The devil is in each of us, and so are the spirits of light in each of us, light and dark. And when we allow them to dance within our own being, when we allow them to come to peace within us individually, we change everything. And this is exactly what's happening. But we need to discern, okay, this person is giving more weight right now to hanging on to the status quo, to keeping things the way they've always understood them, because the head wants to feel safe. The ego wants to feel like it's not going to be destroyed. And the ego is always, as I'm telling you, my best definition of ego is holding on to the present point of view and thinking that that's right. That's what the ego does. That's all it knows. That's all it can allow itself to see when it's in a certain framework of thinking and feeling. It can only see that the only way that I can be safe and secure is I must not allow my world to change. I must try to keep everything the way I've known it to be and lock it in place. And that's part of the battle. We need to discern that. We need to see that that's the battle that's going on in the religious people that are trying to hold on to their understanding of their religion. When the future is saying, but you need to see your religion in new eyes. But they say, no, that makes me uncomfortable. That unsettles my spirit. I don't want that. I mean, I need to keep it the way that I'm familiar with it. Familiarity is so important to me. Even though liar is in the middle of it, I don't want to acknowledge that there's a liar there. I don't want to acknowledge that there's not truth there. Because I'm frightened of change. And you don't think when Obama starts saying that he can declare martial law in peacetime, and gives himself dictatorial powers with yet another strike of the pen, another signature, executive order. Whew. I mean, the religions are doing this. The politicians are doing this. Some of the bankers are trying to do this. I think it's the whole game is coming apart in the financial. The financial world is in an upheaval, and you're going to see changes soon. I mean, I just I just feel that you're going to see changes soon. But we need to be able to see the battle between our own head and our own heart. The heart is wanting us to be free. The heart is wanting us to get it, to finally see that love is not just a colloquialism. It's not just a nice ideal. It's the only way it's going to work. We need to love one another, including those we perceive as our enemies, including those. And we need to be willing to forgive, genuinely forgive. We need to be able to genuinely see the contribution made by the head and the ego, made by the religions, made by the old economic system and the old political system. We need to see that there's contributions there that have been made to the whole process of waking up. The whole process of transformation has required this tension, has required this polarization, has required this separation. Like it or not, it has required that for us to be able to adequately discern the heart of the matter, to discern the spirit behind all of this thing, so that we can make wise choices. And what is the wise choice? Is it do you honestly believe, can anyone honestly believe that the wise choice is to continue the warring? To continue the dueling and the taking out of swords and trying to cut each other's head off? Can anyone honestly feel that serves that serves any good at all, let alone the highest good? Can we not see that we must lay down our swords and beat them into plowshares? That we must stop the absolute insanity of the polarization and the dualism of our world, where each duels against the other? Can we not see that we must stop that? If anybody's going to have peace, we have to allow peace to come to everybody. It's not about one side winning. It's about wisdom winning. It's about the heart winning. The heart has a higher mind, a higher consciousness than the brain does. It's not centered here as much as it needs to be centered here. This is the middle that connects the lower energies with the upper energies. It's always done through the heart, always through the heart chakra. I want you to consider these things. I want you to look at them. We all need to look at this. And what do we want? What is our intention? My intention is to love my brother and sister regardless of how they see, to love them to the best that I can. That doesn't mean I'm going to allow, when I recognize the head coming against me and the status quo people coming against me, trying to show me where enlightenment is some kind of an evil. Yeah, right. Because it came from Madame Blavatsky or the Theosophical Society, because it comes from channeled entities that you want to call demons. I mean, give me a break. Discern the spirits. Discern the heart. God looks at the heart. We look at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. What is your heart today? Where is it? Is it willing to embrace the necessary changes to create the things that we've always longed for? Not winning against enemies, but transforming energies into friends and allies. I leave you with these thoughts this morning, and once again, I'm grateful that you took time to listen. Namaste.